But he said, the way that I see you through your podcast, through what you're putting on LinkedIn, what I saw on your website, I don't see an introvert. Can you explain that to me? And what I shared was that you have no idea how much downtime I claim for myself just to get over the high amount of energy I have to run through my body to do these things that I am passionate about and convicted on. And the reason I can summon all that energy and put it out there is because of how much I care about these issues. It's not enough to just be an architect, a creative professional. The real question is, what are you doing? How are you making an impact if you don't know how to answer that question, or you feel too overwhelmed, stressed out, or burned out to even think about it? I'll help you get beyond the status quo trap in our profession to get inspired again. If you're ready, let's get architecting. Hey there, bright lights. Welcome back to Architecting. Today, I am coming in hot with a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and who knew, a lot of other people's too. So I came across this post on LinkedIn from Stephen Clays, who has a group called the A+ Introvert and talks about fuel for ambitious introverts. And his post was a pie chart that basically just said what people think introverts are versus what introverts actually are. I thought this was a very cool post. It was something that I have read about before. There's the great book by Susan Cain, Quiet, that came out probably over 10 years ago now about introverts. And that was where I first really had great insight that introverts aren't shy. It's just that we don't get our energy from interacting with people. That depletes our energy. It doesn't mean we don't need it, that we never want to seek it out, that we don't enjoy it, but it takes a toll on us. So for introverts, we need to make sure to have plenty of alone time, decompression time, quiet time to recharge our battery, and then we can go out into the world again. Unfortunately, our culture, our society, as Susan Cain points out, is structured to favor the extrovert. And she notes in her book that that wasn't always true, that the America of 100 years ago or older was centered around an introverted mentality. With the Industrial Revolution and modern business practices, that all changed. And now we have a culture of extroverts. And what does that really mean? Well, it means most of us have to put on the mask. As my aunt would say in Italian, faccio contento. You put on the happy face. You do what you need to do to be effective in the world. However, it is shocking how many people identify with being introverts. Now, I told this story because I reposted this Stephen Clay's post, and I shared that I have, as an introvert, felt the pain of having to put on that extrovert persona. But I also shared that I've had some really good introvert role models. One that comes to mind is Dr. John McIntosh. So he taught the urban design program at Arizona State University, which was actually based in downtown Phoenix instead of at the main Tempe, Arizona campus. One of the things his program did were these community charrettes. So they would work with local community development corporations, local architects, landscape architects, planners, and the community itself. They would do a lot of anthropological research and interviews, and this would culminate in a 3-day charrette process from which they would create a booklet. And the idea behind it was to truly understand the pain points of the community, to give design professionals resources to solve problems and hear from the community, and then to present those solutions as idea starters that the community could then leverage to advocate for improvements in their neighborhoods. And I loved this program because it really showed the power of the built environment to enact social and economic change. Because of this, John was very well connected with a lot of people in the greater Phoenix community, as well as people at the Housing and Neighborhoods Department, the Planning Department, local architects and designers, the whole gamut. At this point, I was working for a small firm that had the great idea that we should be more involved in the community. And a thought was to apply for open positions on different city commissions. And it just so happened that the Housing and Neighborhoods Commission had an open spot. Now, my boss was a classic introvert. He had no interest in doing this. So he says to me, his 26-year-old employee, "Why don't you do that?" So I applied and I got on because they probably saw the value of having an architect on this commission. A couple months in, there is this task force around affordable housing that had been formed. And they say to me, "Why don't you head that up?" Knowing nothing, I agree and say, "Sure, I'll do that." So I walk in, and assembled are people from different community development corporations, different nonprofits, neighborhood advocates, and people from the city. And John was there. That was where I met him. What I soon realized was that there was a huge trust gap between citizens and the city. There was this belief that the city only cared about economic development, didn't care about gentrification or displacement, or was turning a deaf ear to some of their real problems and issues. What I learned about myself as a leader there, and I think I have talked about this in previous episodes, was that one of my really good skills is hearing a lot of different, even seemingly contradictory information. I'm being able to find the through line in all of it, connect the dots, and see the bigger picture and how we can move forward in a direction. But we're talking about introversion today. And what I saw John do, he wasn't the loudest voice in the room. He didn't even do a whole lot of talking. But he was a very intelligent man who cared very deeply, very passionately about just this issue. And he knew the people. So what I saw him do was lean into the issue as an expert or an advocate. And I also saw him tap different people on the shoulder because with the task force, we had multiple meetings. He was working behind the scenes. He was helping people see connections, see opportunities, share information and ideas. So he was a convener, a facilitator. That showed me a very different way to lead than everything I'd ever encountered before then, which was about having the answers, being in charge, directing people. That is a more extroverted vision of leadership. And my huge lesson from having this opportunity to lead this task force, to get to know John and work with him over several years, was that something that I had been told all my life was a weakness, that I wasn't good at initiating conversations, that I didn't make the first move, that I was too quiet, was actually my greatest strength. I saw it modeled in John. I saw it emerge in the way that we were able to get a lot done on this task force and bring people together who didn't believe they could work together and build trust between them. And I started to realize that I could relax into being an introvert. I didn't have to view it as something to be ashamed of, something wrong, something bad, that there's a lot of power behind being an introvert. It's something that In the book Quiet, Susan Cain, again, goes to great lengths to talk about the strengths of the introvert, who is more likely to process and have insights, who doesn't think out loud the way that extroverts do. I shared this post, I shared my own experience, and holy cow, I couldn't believe how many people liked this post. I didn't think it would have all that much of an impact, but since it did, I thought that it was worth sharing this as a podcast episode and hopefully reaching more of you, since people seem to be looking for this information. The pie chart that Stephen Klaus made that I shared basically says what people think introverted means, and it lists socially awkward, hates people, shy, too serious, book nerd, people who don't have the skills to be an extrovert. That one really resonated with me because that's what I had been told growing up. And below that, it says what introverted actually means. Inner battery powered. We talked about that one. Idea machine. That's right. Introverts, because we are more quiet and perceptive, we're not necessarily out there trying to engage or express ourselves. Notice more so we can connect more dots. That's what I realized working on that task force. Behind the scenes boss. That's what I saw John do, right? Being able to convene people and build networks. Speaks up when it matters. That's right. Introverts, when we do say something, it usually is well thought out, and it's about the things we really care about, the things that we see as game changers. It's why we can lean into the issues and lead with that, not have to lead with our personality. Picks their people. Introverts tend to have fewer people in their inner circle, but the people there are their ride or dies. They are in it for the long haul, and there's a lot of trust and a lot of resources within one another because you know you have their back and they have your back. Now, this last quality, though, I really feel we need to park on because it is heart-to-heart lover. Now, that might feel a little weird in business. Like, what are we talking about, lovers? And if you would ask me, I would say, I am not the nurturing type. Ask my kids. They will tell you that all day long. What I am beginning to discover, and it's something I've been digging deeper into the last year or so, I would say, is this idea of myself as the lover. And it kind of came interestingly, as you know, I am my crazy crystal lady tendencies. In Tarot, there's a card called the Lovers. It's one of the major arcana cards, and the cards are associated with different zodiac signs as well. The card for Gemini is the Lovers. That seemed kind of like a record scratch to me initially when I heard that, because I'm like, that doesn't really fit with me. But when you truly think about it, I'm not a lover in the way that most people think about expressing love. Not necessarily, except with people I know well, all that affectionate. Where it comes out, and I think a lot of other introverts are going to relate to this as well, I care so deeply about the causes that I work on. It's not a job for me. Being an architect is a vocation. I worry about the people that I'm designing for. I don't just want to build a building. I want to help make their life better. I put so much time and effort into things like the architecting community. I do this in my free time. As you know, I work full-time as an architect because I see the need, because it matters that much to me. I do all the research on design for well-being that I do, which I have to say, it's not a natural way. Architects, clients, we don't lead with that when we talk about design. And I'm working to build a body of research that changes the dialogue, flips the script, gives us different language to use because I care that much. As an architect, I feel like we are the ones that hold people's dreams. We have to get them to share their dreams with us, and then we have to take them to a world they didn't even know to ask for. We are the ones who close our eyes to see what never was, bring it into existence, and not just as an idea, but as a true environment, a physical reality that people can occupy and move through and touch and feel. That is what we are doing. So yes, heart to heart lover is absolutely what we do as introverts. Now, I have to also share that I'm part of this great mentorship program that my friends Carl Sergio and Josh Mings put on, and it is called Nexus. We had our kickoff meeting with our new class last Friday, and they always started off with what they call speed dating. So they give everybody 5 minutes together, and then you get booted out of the room and paired with a new potential protege that you could mentor. At the end, everybody gets a chance to share their top 4, both the mentors and the proteges. And then Carl and Josh make the pairings, and you'll have that person then mentoring you throughout the program length. And one of the people that was in my speed dating rounds said to me, I noticed that you put this post on LinkedIn. Like, see, this post went everywhere. I can't believe how many people saw it. But he said, the way that I see you through your podcast, through what you're putting on LinkedIn, what I saw on your website, I don't see an introvert. Can you explain that to me? And what I shared was you have no idea how much downtime I claim for myself just to get over the high amount of energy I have to run through my body to do these things that I am passionate about and convicted on. And the reason I can summon all that energy and put it out there is because of how much I care about these issues. And because I lead with the issues. It's not about me. I don't care what you think about me. I care that you're thinking about this issue. And I told him these are things I like to say I won't shut up about. Probably annoying. People are probably like, oh, her again. But it's because they matter to me, and I know they matter to other people. As I often say in the architecting community, I like to talk about the things that no one else is, but we should be. We turn a blind eye to the things that are hard and inconvenient, but they're the things we most need to shine a light on. And if you are an introvert listening to this, even if you have the extrovert persona perfected, I want to really encourage you to take heart, to know that your qualities as an introvert are a tremendous strength. The world needs you. And it starts with your heart. It starts with how much you care. And because you care, you are choosing to give your precious energy in very select ways to very select people. You are taking the time to connect those dots, to orchestrate things behind the scenes, to go above and beyond, because you're making it about the issue, not about yourself. But also, because we care about success on your own terms here, you need to make time to recharge, to restore. As much as you are putting out there, you need equal time taking a break, resting, alone time. You've done your peopling for the day, as I like to say. So now give yourself 3 steps backward. Go into a quiet room alone. Let it all seep out of you, and then you'll be ready to do more. If you think, I want to do more, but I just never seem to have the time or the energy, that's probably why. So what I'm going to advise you to do, if you say, I want to do more, but I don't have the time, don't have the energy, just can't bring myself to go there, can't drag myself across that finish line, what you actually need is more time to rest. Introverts work when we trust our intuition, trust our gut, trust that we have probably collected more information than we realize, and we need time to internalize, to process, to synthesize, and then the answers will come. The answers won't come for introverts by doing, but by resting, by letting things germinate and reveal themselves to us. So trust your instincts, trust your introvert nature. If you feel tired, if you feel drained, don't push yourself, because you're likely to behave either by being aloof and tuning out, by being cold, or by shutting other people down and being crabby. None of those are productive in the world of business or even our personal relationship. Really work to be mindful to keep your battery powered. I hope this really gave you some great insights that you didn't realize before about yourself as an introvert, or if you are not an introvert, a little bit more insight into the introverts in your life, because I'm sure they're there, so that you don't write them off and believe all of these myths that they are shy or cold or too serious. And instead, you're able to really leverage their greatest strengths. All right, everyone, take care, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening. If you want even more content, head on over to architectingpodcast.com and subscribe to my newsletter and get some great free downloads while you're there. Be sure to follow me on social media. On Instagram at Architecting Podcast, Facebook and LinkedIn pages are Architecting, and the YouTube channel Architecting Podcast. Stay inspired.